It has been 365 days since the Bitcoin halving. In past cycles, it has taken about 550 days for us to reach a new all-time high in Bitcoin, which is usually over 1,000% from the previous market. And so far, we've seen some pretty nice gains in Bitcoin, but we haven't seen that 10x in the Bitcoin price that we have seen in previous Bitcoin cycles. In this video, I'm going to give you my thoughts on the entire market overall. I'm going to talk to you guys about a lot of different metrics that I'm seeing right now that could cause this price to bounce, and this could actually be a very good opportunity to buy some crypto at this point in time. Also, we'll talk about what would happen if everything continues to go down. So let's get it. Welcome to Everything Currency. This is a show where we talk about everything crypto and mo. I'm your host Jay, and today, let's jump right into it. The things are looking very interesting on this Bitcoin chart right here. There's a lot going on in the market right now, right? There's a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt because of the tariff news that's going on right now. And right now, we have never seen anything like this. Well, since I've been alive, I'll say I have never seen anything like this, where you have countries basically saying, hey, we're going to restructure how we tax each other because one country saying we're getting charged a lot more than everybody else and we just want to make it even. So that's happening right now. So it's very uncertain if this is going to be good for the market, if it's going to be bad for the market. Traditionally, tariffs have shown to be bad for the consumer, but this is a different type of tariff. So we'll see what's happening right now. But for me, because I'm using a combination of fundamentals and technicals, I think that this is going to be a nice level where things could actually bounce. So what am I talking about on this Bitcoin chart right here? So on this Bitcoin chart, I got a couple things mapped out. I got these blue lines mapped out, which are the Bitcoin halvings. These little squares right here are just mapping out the amount of time from the Bitcoin halving to our previous all-time high. You can see in this cycle from 2017, when I got into crypto, it took about 518 days from the halving, which was the price of Bitcoin was $600, and then by the time the halving hit, the price of Bitcoin was at almost 20k at 1990. And then in the cycle after that, Bitcoin, the halving happened on April 20th, and we can see that it took 579 days from the halving to the top of that cycle, where Bitcoin actually went from $6,000 up to $70,000, or we'll call it 69k. So from this halving right here, Bitcoin was at $60,000, and if it's gonna do a 10x or a 800%, then that would leave us with a price super high. So what's 60 times 10, where I would be at like 600k Bitcoin. But we're already 365 days into this cycle. We're more than half to where we are usually when Bitcoin starts topping out, but we're not really close yet. For us to really be getting to previous cycle lengths, we will be there around November. So normally by November, we would have had our top in Bitcoin. So that means things got to bounce quick. That means things got to bounce fast. And right here, looking at this chart, this blue line right here that's going through is a 13 moving average, and bouncing on there usually spells some pretty nice pumps in the Bitcoin price. And every coin pretty much, or every asset pretty much, that 13 moving average is a bullish line. Getting above that's pretty crazy, and right now we dipped back down to it, which showed a nice dump. I talked about it maybe 2 months ago on the channel, that we could dip from this 110k level that we were at all the way to 70k and still be a little bit bullish. So that's what happened right there. We dipped down to 75k, and now we're holding that level, which I'm hoping that we can hold it for another 22 days, maybe get some sideways action, maybe put in a double bottom. But when we zoom in on the weekly chart, we can see, we have this chart trying to find some support. I'm hoping that we get some support on this 71k level right here, but usually this is a pretty nice pattern to give us a bit of a support going down, where maybe we can bounce from. We'll get a swing low, a lower swing low, and then maybe head back up to try to test those 90k levels to see if we're gonna get super bullish and start heading for another leg up. So I say that to say this, that right now it may take a couple of weeks, but we are looking pretty bullish on the charts overall, and I'm excited about that because that gives me enough time to collect, and I don't have to go all in at once. I don't have to time the market. I don't have to try to catch these falling knives. I have a little bit of time to collect some cryptos, and that's what I like, because I can do things calculated, and I also don't have to risk a lot of money at a lot of times. I can, do things a different way. So that's just something to look at. But in other news, like Bitcoin has been dumping a little bit. Gold, the price of gold has been going up, and it's looked like it has topped out a little bit at that 3,166 level, which, when money's flowing into gold, that's showing that people are scared of assets like Bitcoin and crypto, which are new and a little bit more risky. They're considered risk assets still. I wonder how long Bitcoin is going to be considered a risk asset before they start calling it just a regular asset. But because of the volatility, it is considered a risk asset. So we've seen a lot of money flow into less riskier assets like gold and like bonds, and we needed this because the bond market was terrible, and we needed the economy needed kind of some help in the bond market, and that's what we got. Now, another thing that I pay attention to is the global money supply. After my second cycle, after the last cycle, I realized that the last two cycles, none of the news mattered, none of the FUD mattered, nothing mattered. All it was when the feds of the world started doing quantitative easing, the price started going up, and when they started doing quantitative tightening, the prices started going down, which makes a lot of sense because those literally mean putting more money in or taking more money out. It's literally the biggest banks putting liquidity into the system or taking liquidity out of the system. This is the chart of that structure right here. Now, this is what it looked like from September 2024 up until March 30th of this year. And what you'll see is this pink line right here is the money supply. You can see that starting September 2024, we had a nice dip. We were at 108 trillion, and then it dipped down to 104 trillion, and now we're headed towards 109 trillion, just showing this nice this little dip right here. That's a pretty important dip because it's the first time it's really dipped like that in a while. But it's also very interesting that Bitcoin was actually pumping during that dip. If I zoom out on this chart a little bit, this is that same chart right here. I was zoomed into this area over here from this September to March. You can see that there was a little bit of separation here, but for the most part, since inception, this is since 2013, you can see that the white line, Bitcoin, is very correlated to the pink line, which is the money supply. And for the first time, I think over here during June of 2024, and then over here in December of 2024, you see it kind of separate a little bit. But overall, if we look, the price of, the global money supply actually broke out and went bullish starting of March last year, but it actually had a nice rounded bottom dip, and it broke out again of November of this year, and now we're headed back into we're headed into new territories because we haven't been this high of 108 trillion or 109 trillion, I think, has been the top for that. But just showing that it's bouncing, like the money supply is going up. Usually that shows that it's good for Bitcoin. And the Fed of the United States hasn't lowered rates yet, but they have started they have stopped doing quantitative tightening, which they have stopped removing liquidity from the system, and Trump is trying to push them to pump some liquidity into the system, or at the very least he's trying to get them to lower the interest rates so the banks can do what they do with the liquidity in the system and let each other borrow money and stuff like that. So those are things that I think could be very, very bullish for the price of crypto, the price of Bitcoin over the next couple of weeks. Now, BlackRock's Larry Fink says that he sees a 20% drop ahead. Now, this came out yesterday. He says 20% drop, but that could be a long-term buying potential for these markets. Now, the markets have already gotten beat up pretty damn bad. So to another 20%, I don't know. I don't know about another 20%, maybe 10 more percent, because I think the stock market kind of had a 10% dip. So we'll see how that goes. So the White House confirms that the crypto holding reports are due tomorrow. I just personally think that this is going to be a bullish event because we're going to get to see the crypto holdings of the Treasury secretaries and a lot of the people in Congress right now. It says the U.S. government currently holds 198,000 Bitcoins worth 16 billions. Federal agencies have a deadline on Monday to report their Bitcoin and crypto holdings to the Treasury. So we're going to see how much crypto the U.S. really holds. Now, if there's any obscure tokens on that list, I want to watch out for those tokens. So like, you know, say like out of nowhere, it's like some token name, like, I don't know, say like Move is on there. You know, like Move is a okay coin, it's doing pretty good. You know, Trump brought it up, but like if the government's holding Move, then what's going on with Move? You know, so that's just something to look out for if you are watching those things. Now, the first ever XRP ETF is set to debut in the United States, and VanEck registers for a Binance coin ETF, which is also pretty damn bullish to see that like Binance and Tether, companies that were crypto companies that were not even allowed anywhere near the United States, are starting to get their hands on some, you know, nice regulatory news from the United States. So that's all I have for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think about the video. Let me know what you guys think about the Bitcoin price. Do you guys think I'm tripping? Do you guys think that the price is going to go straight down and we're going to have to buy Bitcoin at 3K or something like that? Somebody told me we're going to be buying Bitcoin at 3K. Let me know. Do you think the ETFs are good, or do you think the ETFs are actually holding back the price of crypto? A lot of people say, hey, Bitcoin was flying until the ETFs came on board. So who knows how that goes? Let me know in the comment box. So y'all think positive things will happen. RIP to crypto roots, and remember, never finish a negative statement about currency. Till next time, peace.